Hi everyone, today let's talk about Apple earnings. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. So Apple announced its largest stock buyback ever, $110 billion in stock buybacks, and this is right on the back of a 10% drop in iPhone sales. This is obviously the largest part of their business. And on the back of this, we are seeing an up move of about 4% on Apple. You can see excited people, all probably within their stock compensation program, benefiting from this move, I'm sure. But this is definitely concerning. So Apple iPhone sales going down 10%, and they are effectively buoying the stock by saying we're just going to buy our own shares to make up the difference. But earnings per share beat just by a little bit. Revenues beating by a little bit. iPhone revenue missing, definitely not great. Mac doing well, iPad revenue missing, so it seems like devices minus personal computers is starting to struggle a little bit. Margin still very good, and then services revenue, that's the highest margin portion of their business, which continues to beat estimates, so that's good, but this is definitely concerning. Growth seems to be slowing or contracting across their device sales. We'll see if this reaccelerates with the announcement of their new chips, supposedly being designed for some AI integration. We also have the Vision Pro. It'll be interesting to see those numbers. I'm sure they won't be very large, at least to begin with. That's still a relatively new product. And then you can see the one bright spot they mention here. Sales services rose 14%. Again, high revenue, high margin, high revenue portion of their company. And then they also have that overhead looming danger of China. Can they continue to grow there? You can see they were off 8% in China. And you can see Tim Cook saying he feels good, but he's thinking longer term than a week or so. And then lastly here, they do have a dividend, 25 cents, which is a 1 cent increase. Moving over to fear and greed, you can see we got all the way down to a 36. Pretty interesting. This is for end of day on Tuesday. Interesting to see that going lower, even though markets were up on the day. Neutral here on market momentum. Strength, still extreme fear. Breadth, still hovering in fear. Put call ratio jumping into greed. Interesting. We did see a bit of a bounce at the end of the session. Volatility breaking down, still in neutral. And look at this. So we have safe haven demand still in extreme fear, but we got rates on junk bond demand jumping here back into neutral. This has been an extreme greed for a while. We'll definitely have to take a look at those charts here today. Moving over to seasonality, we are entering that first period of May. Definitely a weak period, but if you remember April, we did think we were a little bit shifted, so we could see about another week of rally into that second week of May, and then we'll see this kind of double dip for the latter portion of the month. But just keep in mind this is a bearish period for election and non-election years. Moving over to the earnings calendar, you can see the beat here for Apple. That's the big one. AMZN beating on the bottom line, missing on the top. ConocoPhillips, oil and gas has been struggling here. They missed on both. And then for you real estate people out there, you got Federal Realty missing on the bottom line, but beating on the top. And then for Friday, pretty much the only name there is Hershey's. If you hold anything into the Friday session, we are getting into that real estate period. So you got Simon Property, Realty Income, as well as Tyson Foods and Berkshire Hathaway. Moving over to the economic calendar, pretty much nothing here. Initial jobless claims going down well below expectations. Previous number was revised up, but just barely. And then you can see Fed balance sheet roll off, pretty substantial there actually, coming down to 7.36 billion. And then looking at Friday, don't forget, this is a massive Friday. We have non-farm payrolls, unemployment data, global services PMI, non-manufacturing PMI, and non-manufacturing prices. So big Friday here for economic data. Moving over to Max Payne, you can see we are pretty much right on top of it. So Max Payne came down a little bit to 505. Stock price went up to 506. We're still in that range here, 500 to 510. 510 is probably going to be your call wall, but that still gives you about $4 of upside potentially. Realistically, I think we finish around 507, 508, same as yesterday. Put call ratio is coming down here a little bit, but still right in this range makes sense. Moving over to the SPY, you can see big move here up today, finished up almost 1%, and then with the after hours price action, definitely higher than that. Well above the 505 level, touched that level, retested it, and broke higher. Next one would be 509.77. I still expect that to be resistance. You can see we hit it here and broke down. Similarly, that's going to be right in that same zone as the 55 EMA on the daily chart. Also going to have to push through the 21 as well as VWAP in that same zone. So key area, probably going to find some resistance. We'll see how it plays. And then behind that, you still have this medium-term downtrend line. So short-term bullish still, looking to head into some resistance areas. Moving over to the Tasty charts, pretty much the same thesis as yesterday. We're still in the same consolidation. Even at 505, still right in the same zone, still in this resistance, still bearish conditions with resistance up at 517.80. And then looking at the 4-hour chart, we are right at that 4-hour resistance. So 506.88, interesting zone. We'll see if we can get above that and actually move into bullish conditions. For take out that ATR stop, we would have to close above it and then see what happens. Right now it looks good though. If that zone breaks, your upper ATR band is going to be up at 512, which would be your price target, 512.60 or so. Moving over to the NASDAQ, similar thesis, but quite a bit more bullish. Apple has more of a hand here in the NASDAQ. You can see that last candle of the day, 0.5% higher, breaking that next level, looks super bullish. Seemed like it was going to be a bullish result, and sure enough it is here, breaking above. So next level, 433.23. Momentum, same thesis, right at resistance, could break to that 21. That's right in that same zone, 430.40. Structurally, this is still a downtrend, but it seems like we're holding a higher low here and could be pushing up to that resistance once again. And if that does tomorrow, then we could be in for a break. So we already got that first test of the 21, rejection, held the higher low and then push. That could be a strong result and then push medium term up into that 446 area. So right now it looks really good, especially after this Apple result. Moving over to the Tasty charts here on the daily, you can see that ATR resistance still up there at 420. Seems like we're still up there at 440.53. So same resistance, seems like we're headed in that direction. Again, you can see the structure, we're still hanging in there, bullish on the day. And then 4-hour chart, still right at that ATR. So the ATR is still sitting at 430.30. Momentum, not great, but big volume on the day. We're right at that 89 EMA. We'll see if it rejects from there. Last time we rejected from the 144, you can see it here. That was up at 431.56. But this looks better here. And if we did hit that level, that would take out the ATRs, and then we'd be back into bullish conditions. And then that upper ATR level would be 436. So that would give you a potential move into that zone. And it does seem like that's possible here over the next couple days. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow. The Russell was quite positive on the day, 1.8. So this has been a big run here. Had a huge down candle on Tuesday last week, and now here on Tuesday this week, and now here on Thursday, we've made up all of that gain and then some. Headed towards that 202 level, it seems like. We're down a little bit after hours, still in the zone of resistance right from this previous Monday candle, but it looks okay. 189.75 is the level, and you can see that same thesis here on the Dow. This is getting pushed up much stronger by Apple, getting above that 382.20 level. That's right where we closed, and now we're pushing above all of these short-term EMAs and SMAs. Next level there, 387.77. Both of these look pretty bullish going into tomorrow's session. Moving over to the Mag 7, you can see it was up a little bit, almost 2%. Momentum continues to roll the bullish here. This is pushing up the Mag 7 just a couple of points here after hours. You can see that 4-hour chart, about 0.65, still looking to get up to that 439, 349 level. You can also see the 200 and the 144 hovering in that same area as resistance. We've hit the 200 multiple times, continues to act as resistance. But if it breaks above here, then we could be headed back towards these all-time highs at 367.10. And if that happens, markets will definitely be pushing back towards their recent highs as well. Moving over to Apple and Tesla. Apple was up 2.2% going into their earnings, and you can see they're all the way up here at 185 after hours. Looking at that 12-hour chart, massive jump. You can see 7% after hours, still going very strong. Next level of resistance would be 186.80. Above all the EMAs and SMAs here on the 12-hour chart, definitely overbought. We'll see how it plays, but this should change conditions. We had a move down, we had a consolidation. If this breaks down, you would expect it to get bought up at this point, and then we'll see if we can make some higher highs off of that level. And then moving over here to Tesla, you can see down 0.01%, up 0.01%, and it's up a little bit more after hours. Momentum continues to fade here. It's at critical support, pretty much no change from yesterday. Still very much a downtrend, but it's trying to change these conditions. Similarly to Apple, big push up. If this structurally holds, then we could look for higher highs. Still looking at that overhead resistance as the 200 at 220. Moving over to Apple on the Tasty charts, let's see what this looks like here. So in this 174 area, we were bouncing off of that 89 EMA. We were still holding that level. Still in bearish conditions on the weekly chart. Trailing stop up at 190. But looking at that daily chart, we were in bullish conditions. So that's a good thing to know here. Bullish conditions headed towards that 180 area. That's where we were after hours. Looks very strong. And the structure actually does look a little bit better here on the Tasty charts. This is why it's important to look at both charts if you're ever looking to get into a stock. So you can see 184.70 after hours. So weekly charts looking a lot better, definitely giving you some better levels to work off of. The ATR stop there was 190, so not yet in bullish conditions on the weekly chart, but everything below the weekly is definitely going to be bullish. See if we can hold these gains into tomorrow and potentially the Monday sessions. Moving over to Microsoft and Amazon, you can see Microsoft 0.73, Amazon 3.2%, big move there. We talked about this structurally looking good, holding that trend support, broke that next level, headed towards 188.60 in my opinion. See how it plays from there. Microsoft still structurally looks quite weak, well below all the EMAs and SMAs. Momentum looks okay, RSI looking okay. Had a couple of inside candles off of that Tuesday session. And then you have support here at 394.22. But I would be patient here still, in my opinion. Still downtrend in the short term. Still holding these longer term EMAs. Looks like sideways choppy price action. If you want to trade it, I would keep it short term. Moving over to staples and discretionaries. Look at these. Turning the corner. What a move. So these looked awful. So you had staples, double top, breaking down, headed towards the midpoint. And then you caught a bid. 0.84 to the upside, back above 75.40, higher low setup off this previous low. That actually looks pretty strong here now. So what a move, pretty interesting. Something to keep in mind there. You can also see big volume on those two candles coming through. And then looking at discretionaries, not quite the same thesis. It was a bullish day, 1.26, but the volume not really supporting it. Bearish, still bullish momentum coming off of that 174.76 level. Did close below it yesterday, and you can see we're above these shorter term EMAs. So again, a little bit more bullish here today than it looked yesterday. We got the island reversal. I thought we would probably break down to these previous lows here at the 200, 171.40, but now it didn't happen. Let's see if we can find anything on the volume profile. Should push through here fairly quickly up to this previous high, 179.70. Moving over to transports and technology. Transports bouncing 1.77, getting back above 64.80, coming off of that 200 level. Big volume on that move. Seems like we're getting a bit of a short-term reversal. Usually when you get a bounce like that with big volume, that does mean something. We'll see if we can get some follow through on that. And then looking at technology, again, low, higher low setup, holding that 193.60 level. Need to add some more levels on this. We'll go ahead and put one at least there on this previous high. We'll see if we can get there at 102. That would also be right in that 21 and VWAP zone. Seems like technology is going to find a little bit more bounce. And it is up after hours on Apple's move. You can see about 1.29%. Pretty decent, almost there already. Moving over to breadth. We talked about this in yesterday's video. If it was going to hold, it needed to do it here, and you can see that 36.60 level. Right now, it looks good. So momentum resuming. Looks like this is going to push back up to those previous highs. Doesn't have a ton of room there. Usually goes through that zone quite quickly on the 20-day. But looking at the 50, again, we had a wick low yesterday, got back above the 40 level. We can see if this can push to a new high, potentially in that 62.20 area. We'll see what happens then. But it seems like we have a short-term rally coming. And then moving over to the dollar, you can see here on the hourly chart, consolidation, big breakdown. So seems like this structure is not going to hold. We tried to do the breakout, rally up, bull flag, tried to break, push right back into the zone. At this point, you would expect it to break back down to these previous lows around 104.4. Also got the 55, 144, and 200 all in that same zone. Momentum and RSI bearish. So if the dollar does break down from this structure, that should be bullish for equities. Seems like this bull flag setup is broken. Moving over to yields, we got a big move down here today, actually. So we're right at the bottom of this range now on the 2-year. After attempting a quick breakout, we got FOMC yesterday, and now we're moving lower. Looks like this is headed back towards 4.8. That could be softening conditions, giving equities a little bit of room. Similarly here on the 10-year, right at the 21, momentum and RSI bearish. 5.5 is the next level. Maybe markets were just a little bit too spooked on the back of all that FOMC jawboning, and now we got the words directly from Fed Powell. He's not looking to hike, and he is still thinking about cutting. We just need more data, so probably either right here or maybe even a little bit lower on the 10-year in my opinion. Moving over to bonds, J&K was up 0.58, went right to that shorter term support level, actually resistance in this case, momentum bullish, RSI bullish. See if it can get above that and push to 94.82. That was the price target from yesterday and today, but it needs to get through this zone. It's tested it several times. We'll see what happens. If it does, that should be a pretty big bullish indicator. And then TLT, big move here today, 0.43. Still need to see this get back above 89.16. Still haven't tested that 21 EMA. Probably going to get a first test, rejection, and then a break higher if it's going to do it. But right now, momentum and RSI look bullish, and there's some decent volume coming through on TLT over the last couple of days. Moving over to volatility, this still has not broken down here, so we're hovering at that 1470 level. Still want to see this break here. I said yesterday I think it's going to do it, and I still think that's true. Momentum and RSI are still bearish. Everything across markets does look short-term bullish, which means this is probably going to break here, push down to that 1275 area. Moving over to my accounts, I made a few dollars on the day. I did put myself in a good position to make money on these moves that we got after hours as well. Not super great. I still have a call out here at 432. That's going to be concerning for 5 days from now. I'll just continue to roll these calls out here. I still think we might find some overhead resistance, and I can still add shares. We're still sitting here at 429 after hours, so not in the money yet, still $3 out of it, and this is only for $1.70, but this will be in a losing position tomorrow. I do have a put on for tomorrow for $2 credit at 426. Obviously going to get that money, so that'll be $400 I can add in there. And then on this 424 covered call for Monday, max profit there is going to be 429.40. So we're almost there already. I can go ahead and sit on that, and then we'll see how that plays out on the Monday session. But everything across the board bullish. Have a 199 put here for the IWM tomorrow for just about $1 credit on that. Still made some money there, but not nearly as much as I should have. I wasn't feeling super aggressive on the IWM, but I do have a put, still trying to make $1 here tomorrow, and I am $1 out of the money in case we get a little bit of a pullback. Let me know down in the comments section what you think of Apple and the massive buyback and the slowing iPhone growth. Are they going to find a new catalyst for growth, or is this a very mature company at this point? Definitely like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.